Okay, guys, it's so good to see everyone. Thank you, Dr. Zach and Sonya, for being with me.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Good to be
having
here.
me. Us.
Yes. So today's topic I think is so needed. I mean, it's one of my favorite topics, health and wellness. But more specifically, during a time like this in the world where so many people are inside, our mental health is really pushed to its limits. I think it would be really helpful if we all just went around and spoke about some tips and things that are working for you. How are you staying aligned? How are you staying healthy? And anything that can work for different budgets. So even if it's something that might be a resource that's been helpful for you, bring it up and we'll just go around in a circle. So I'll have you start, Sonya.
Thank you. Yes, I love this topic, integrative health coach, and I am all about health and wellness and staying in optimal alignment and, really being connected to our intuition through our physical body, what we're putting in our body, on our body. So I guess the first step that I would start with for everyone is uh, really focus on alkalinity. How alkaline are you? So for me personally, I wake up every morning, and this is something I've been doing for many years now. I wake up and I have a routine. So it's what I call my self-care, self-love routine. So it's not like, oh, I got to do this again, right? I do it because I love myself. I honor my body. The first thing I do every morning, I wake up and I say 3 things I'm grateful for. It's automatically programmed in my subconscious to, as soon as I start coming back in my body, I am saying 3 things, and I'm noticing those 3 things I'm saying every day. So it's really just being programmed, even more hardwired. And so what I do after that is I will have a big glass of lemon water. And for people that are a little more advanced and it's like, okay, I'm doing that, but I want some more of a perk, a more pick-me-up, more of an adrenal tonic, I suggest is, and it's a little more work, you could do this at night and put it next to your bed. What I suggest is getting 16 ounces of pure filtered, hopefully really good clean water, putting half of a lemon in it, and some raw honey. You can also grate some ginger and then add a little bit of pink salt. This is going to give you a little bit of that sugar. It's going to give you glucose. It's going to give you the trace minerals from the salt, and it's going to give you that alkalinity from the lemon. And so that will just kind of kickstart you. And then from there, you can feel satiated enough to go, okay, well, I think I'm going to do a meditation now, right? Or, have a good 45 minutes or something to where you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm going to filter out all the toxins that my body is purifying for me at night. And then after that, what I do and what I suggest for my clients is have some kind of an herbal tonic. The one that I love is an organic tea called Puka. It's called Puka Cleanse. It's again, low budget. It's quite cheap. You can get it at Sprouts. You can order it on Amazon. Look into it. It's an herbal blend. And it's very, very gentle. And it just kind of, again, detoxes you for the day, cleans you out. And after that, I would say just go ahead and have a really mindful breakfast. For me, that looks like a nice smoothie. I put spinach in it. I have a lot of different herbs that go in, barley grass. So again, it's going to look different for everyone, but I would say really tune into your intuitive abilities and ask yourself, what do I feel like today? Some days it might be different. So I would say really invite yourself. It's a full body process to be in alignment. And so it's like check in with your mind, check in with your heart, and then go for it, because there's never a wrong answer. You're never going to do it wrong. It's all about honoring this process, giving yourself self-love to start your day in a positive way.
Wow. I just took down so many notes there, Sonya. You gave us so many insights and I love it. I get so excited because you know so much. And guys, anyone who's watching this, like Sonya mentioned, she's an intuitive health coach. So she can help you wherever you're at in your journey. I just love that. So thank you, Sonya.
Thank you.
At Dr. Zach, what about you?
Well, let me just say, yes, Sonia, that was wonderful. Actually, I used to drink lemon juice with seltzer, and that was my favorite drink. I was thinking, this drink is so incredible, the squeezing of the lemon and the seltzer. without any honey or sugar. I'm a little bit sensitive about the sugar component to it. Um, and so I was thinking it was such an invigorating drink. I was thinking somebody should have a chain of stores just selling lemon juice with carbonated with carbonated water. It's just is nothing better. So thanks for bringing that back up. I haven't done it in a while. I have all the squeezers and for different size lemons and to do all that. So that's great. So let me talk a little bit of what I've been doing lately, um, which I find really helpful in this incredibly stressful environment. Generally, I do my breathing exercises, but I find that a normal breathing exercise is not. I don't know if the word is severe enough or strong enough in dealing with the stresses that we have. So what I do, and I'll have we'll all do it together. Um, so I'll lead you in a little breathing exercise, which really helps. Before we do it, I just want to give you a little heads up. And I think we talked about this at one of our previous videos, but it's like, taking a big deep breath, but hold it, really fill up your lungs. And when you hold it, your diaphragmatic muscle is like contracted. So it holds it there. It's like, what is it? The isometric exercise where you just hold something. You hold your muscle in a position for a while, hold it for about 5 or 6 seconds, and then release it. And then do that again. And we'll do that 3 times, and then we'll do a gentle breathing exercise up to 10, where you count up to 10. And I'll let you do it on your own, and people who are watching this should do it. And the reason why the holding of the breath, to allow that diaphragm muscle to just tense up and just hold it, you'll feel when you relax it, you'll feel an incredible extra sense of relaxation and calm. And your exhale will just flow just so gently afterwards. And I found that I needed that extra amount of sort of working the diaphragm, because since our breathing is so irregular when we get so stressed, so you can imagine the poor diaphragm, and the nervous system that's innervating it, it's just quivering a lot. It's just doing all kinds of erratic motions. And this is like a nice yogic stretch, or contraction. And just, so enough talking about it. Let's do it. So if you can get into a nice meditative position, getting yourself up in an upright position, balancing your head on your neck, and just get a little relaxed. So you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed. So let's take these first 3 breaths. So work hard to fill your lungs, bring up your chest and your belly. Let's let it all hang out there and expand. And now just hold that for 6 seconds. And then release, slowly release. Okay, now breathe in again, fill up your chest and let your belly expand, and just try to tighten up that diaphragmatic muscle if you can feel for it. And then relax. Just let that exhale just slowly come out of you. And do it one more time. And then slowly exhale. And now do 10 gentle breaths at your own speed. Just count to 10. So how did that make everybody feel?
I felt great.
Super calm, very relaxed.
Yeah.
And what's so great about this is that it's just our I shouldn't say, as we know of, you guys know that it's just not our breath. It's our flow of energy. It's having a kind of using the energy flow and the miracle breathing and using the miracle of the body to help the mind relax. And there's a oneness between our mind and our body, and to use our body. It's like Sonya was with the things that you feed the body, to nurture the body in any way we can. I was thinking, this guy that I really listen to is functional medicine guy, Mark, what's his, Hyman? Have you ever heard of him? Yeah, he's a number of things he's done. It's also running the functional medicine clinic at Cleveland Clinic, very famous hospital. And he talks about how important it is to build up the immune system. That's like what Sonya was talking about, all the herbs and the teas and the food, that food is really medicine in so many ways, the best medicine. And that the immune system, I think about so many of the people that are not making it through the COVID-19 attack. I really wonder what kind of immune system they have, not only of just the normal high risk profiles that we talk about, but the importance of, what kind of condition is your immune system in with the balance of the population. And it's so much dependent upon all these trace minerals and that Sonya was referring to, and to have a full, dynamic, and strong immune system. So that's really also so critical during this time.
Yeah, that was so helpful. Thank you for that, Dr. Zach. Oh my gosh, I feel so good. And thinking about what I do when it comes to health and wellness, I keep it really simple, because what helped me was two things. Books really helped me, and meditation really helped me. So I generally block off about an hour, and it depends on the schedule. So if I need to cut it short, I'll never cut it shorter than 30 minutes. So between 30 and an hour. I'd say to have some type of piece of literature. I love self-development literature. So I brought one of the books that I'm reading now that I really love, because it's helpful for anyone wherever they're at on their spiritual journey. And it's this one called Miracles Now by Gabrielle Bernstein. Gabrielle is amazing. She studied A Course in Miracles. And what I liked about types of literature like this is that it's really simple. So for example, she gives you 108 different guides, and it's like 2 pages, but I'm able to at least consume some type of personal development literature. So I'll read this, or lately I know Dr. Zach knows, I've been fascinated by the Bible. So I've been learning so much about the Bible and different stories, and just seeing wherever it takes me, but really designating this time for myself to not only learn something new, but then I go into the meditation. So meditation I'll usually do for at least 12 minutes. If I'm in a quick rush, I'll at least give myself 5 minutes, but my goal is 12 minutes or more. And my meditation is really simple. I sit, my back is straight up. I close my eyes. What has helped me is having some type of light music. So like a singing bowl or some type of meditation music. Anyone can go onto Spotify and just type in meditation music and things, it will pop up. And then I get quiet in that exact exercise, Dr. Zach, that you were talking about, where you're breathing in and breathing out, and you're pausing and you're holding that breath for 6 seconds. I do some things like that. So depending on how I feel, I'll always think 3 things. How can I foster a new relationship? So it's either a new relationship and renewal with my relationship with God and learning about the Bible or some type of spiritual text, or maybe it's how do I foster a relationship outside of me? So then I'll do some type of meditation where I bring that person's face to me and I show them love and I send them love. Then I'll say, Sheri, you got to make space for your brain, which is generally where I'll go and I'll meditate. And then is just get into service. So what helps me is, regardless if I'm home and I'm just working from home, or if I'm out and I have to be in an office or someplace, I'll always tell myself, how may I serve? Just how may I serve here? And so every single morning I'll do this practice, and it helps me so much on a mental level, because from there, because I've fostered some type of relationship with myself throughout that time, I have my morning practice of what I eat. So I have my go-to foods. I eat all natural foods. I use a product called Isogenics, and I have a bar, and I have adaptogens, and I have water. And I start my day off just feeling good. And my recommendation would be to just create some type of routine that feels good. I wake up and I look forward to reading my books, and I look forward to starting that relationship off again because it's a brand new morning. And that has helped me just stay productive. I feel good. And it's only like 7 a.m. and I feel like I've conquered the world. So turning it back over to you, Sonya, what's another tip that you'd like to offer?
I love that, Sheri. That's beautiful. There's a couple things you mentioned. I feel for me too, I feel like there's such a cleansing. We've been talking in previous talks. It's such a reset, it's such a cleansing. And what's been coming up is in my meditations, I've been seeing images of people, and I've been doing the Ho'oponopono, however you say that. It's this Hawaiian prayer that we say. It's thank you, I'm sorry, or please forgive me, I love you. And so I've been doing that so much for people that are viscerally coming in through my field, my awareness. And I feel like that is super important to keep yourself alkaline as well, because if you are having toxic thoughts, or you're angry, or you're in, just some kind of disharmony with someone, you may not even know it, but that really bogs your mental energy, your physical energy, your auric energy, and that can keep you in a state of disharmony and feeling acidic, right? So I feel like it's such a beautiful a space to be in harmony. But another tip that I would give is I would just say, what do I do? There's so many things that you can do on a daily basis. But for me, I think I really focus on mood food. And so for people across the board, it's all about giving yourself good, healthy fats first thing in the morning. And for a lot of people, we have blood sugar dysregulation. We have different mood swings. We get hangry. We want to eat right away, or if we get so hungry, we just grab something else to fill ourselves. So I would say first thing, what I do when I do eat my food is I give myself a good quality protein. Fat, you could do, even if you're vegetarian, you could do ghee, nut butters. So I give myself, everything that I eat is like good quality carb, and then a good protein with it that keeps me satiated, and I don't have to go through the hunger pangs and have like rapid mood swings. So I think that is a key element in keeping homeostasis with kind of just balancing throughout the day.
I love it. I love how you call it mood food, because I can remember that. And immediately I'm like, oh, I like that word. I'm going to start using that. So thank you so much, Sonya.
Welcome.
And Dr. Zach?
Well, what came up for me when you were talking, Sheri, about the book that you're reading, I just picked up this book. It's called Darwin's Doubt. And so let me preface this just to your point about, as a suggestion for people to read books that inspire them, is so important. Because the reason this book, I saw a YouTube video on this guy, Stephen Myers. He wrote this book called Darwin's Doubt. And he's a credible scientist. He was originally an engineer. I think it was at Oxford or Cambridge. He got this scholarship, full scholarship to go there and work with these top scientists. And so now he's this world-renowned critic of the whole Darwinian theory. And what's interesting is that Darwin's theories of natural selection had such a negative impact on the idea and the feeling of spirit having, some kind of part to play, significant part to play in who we are and how we got here. I mean, it just threw cold water on it. And it was in the 19th century, and science was gathering steam and getting more value and credibility in the culture. And all of a sudden it was like, well, God didn't create us, and God, it has nothing to do with it. It's all natural selection and survival of the fittest and mutations, that really can turn you on. And I mean, I'm tongue in cheek. However, the story is quite interesting, because there was a scientist at Harvard who was one of the experts in the world on, the evolution of creatures and the like. And when Darwin wrote his book on the survival of the fittest, he sent one of the first drafts or first copies to this guy at Harvard. His name was Agassiz, Professor Agassiz. And this guy was world renowned. And he reads the book, and he writes back to Darwin and says, I don't buy your argument. Your argument doesn't hold up. And why didn't it hold up? There was a period about 500 million years ago. It was called the Cambrian explosion. It's where all kinds of species just emerged within such a short time period that it was impossible to explain that evolution based upon Darwinian theories. It was just happened too many new creatures and new species emerged over such a short time period that it completely blew. And actually, Darwin in his book mentioned it. And he was hoping that eventually more research and more discoveries would show that the Cambrian era or explosion was really, there was more to it. And because if you'll study that period, Darwin's theories doesn't hold up. And it's just so fascinating because, and if anybody wants to read it, I'd highly recommend it. Stephen Meyer's The Darwin Doubt. He's coming up, I think next year he's coming out with a new book talking about God. And that the whole idea is that, intelligent design is really the only explanation that holds up. And it's actually the intelligent design in creating the universe. That everything is so finely tuned in this universe to create living creatures that one of these constants, if it's not just so finely tuned, life wouldn't have occurred. This is like a finely tuned watch, this whole scenario that's unfolding that we play an important role in. And so I bring this up because it's so important in our own sense of value, the own sense of wonder, and how miraculous life is all about, which raises our spirit and gives us so much more hope and substance and valuing every moment. And just this miracle of life is so important in raising our spirits, especially again today, to read something that's just so unbelievable. And so this design, who knows how far this design is taking us, and how the meaning, I mean, that's what my own personal awakening, and I know each one of you have had your incredible awakenings. And so the awakening of that this reality that we live in has such meaning to it. And so who knows why this crisis is taking place. It may be on something, obviously the deaths and the suffering that people are going through is just horrible. But maybe that's the way evolution takes place. We have a collective survival. Maybe this is a survival of the planet, survival of the species as a whole. And, some people, are not going to make it in this. But anyway, that's something that's really important in facing what we're doing. And maybe there's a higher plan that we can't interpret. It looks just like a tragedy, but it could be leading to something more.
Mm, so
Wonderful.
powerful. I love that. Thank you for that, Dr. Zach. I'm definitely going to check out that book, Darwin's Doubt, you said it's called? Darwin's Doubt.
The
Oh
same
my
last
God.
name as yours.
Yeah, I'll check, definitely check that out. And as you were speaking, I've been on the topic of divine, just feeling divinely supported. It's been coming to me constantly in the past couple of days. And I think about how is the body divinely supported? And this is amazing for anyone. No money, got a lot of money, doesn't matter, because there's two things that we are supported with. And I look at the chemistry of the brain, and there's really three chemicals that I think we can all activate: oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. And I think people forget about these powerful chemicals in the brain. And when you look at them, like oxytocin and the sense of comfort, right? This love hormone. So many people are like, well, I'm inside. There's so many things not to love about right now. But with oxytocin, I've been able to really activate it in my own life through meditation, but also through exercise. So that's one tip. If you're watching this and you're like, I want to experience more love and I want to experience more comfort, we start to activate these chemicals through exercise and getting our bodies into motion, because the body's a miracle in itself. And then also through meditation. Then when you look at dopamine, I think of dopamine like dope, like, oh, this is exciting. It's the adventure type of chemical. And when I think about folks right now, you can't really go anywhere. You're stuck inside. So there might be a lot of people who aren't really understanding how to tap into dopamine. So for me, when I'm looking to activate this, I do visualizations through meditation, and I also exercise. Two things that will get that going. And then the last one that I look at is the serotonin. For me, I love light. And so, what I've always been drawn to is light therapy. So, for someone who might be in their house, and I even found myself doing it sometimes where I shut all the lights off and I'm staying inside. Sometimes I don't even change my clothes. And it starts to emotionally affect me. So something as simple as putting on clothes and sitting by a window is very comforting to me. It's allows me to get some light therapy, to feel good and get my body into motion. And then also just by putting myself into service. So hence popping onto videos, doing podcasting, I would recommend to anyone who's at home and you want to raise your serotonin, just think about ways you can serve. I think for me, even though I've been home and I don't have a full-time job, the fear goes away the moment I allow myself to just put myself into service. And what you were talking about, Dr. Zach, about being divinely supported, our our brains are wired with this. We have it. And I think it's just so exciting. It's just another example of how the body, the mind, the spirit, we're all equipped to get through trouble like this, to the point where you can even look at research on neuroscience to the point that you are supported. So I think just knowing that we are supported, that helps me all the time. And just knowing I can meditate, I can exercise, and I can activate these juices is helpful. So I think as we do one more round, I'll pass the ball back over to Sonya. Anything else that you'd like to add?
That was so powerful. That was so, so great and so concise and with practical steps. I'm going to stick to the health topic. And I feel that one thing that you mentioned, and I want to continue on, is moving your lymph, right? Moving your detox organs. So one way that people can do that, again, it's cheap, it's free, and it will start to regulate your nervous system. It will start to optimize and have you give you a better sense, a better outlook. And that is, again, exercising, right? Your lungs, moving. You could do yoga at home. There's plenty of classes. There's Gaia TV has free classes. A lot of yoga teachers are offering free classes right now. Another way is just simply stretching, sitting with it, doing some somatic breathing, some breath work. One of the things that I've really helped myself when I'm going into fear or I'm going into anxiety or collective grief that's happening right now, I'm picking up a lot of that, is Peter Levine's somatic technique, where all you do is you hold yourself, you hold both of your arms, and all you're doing is you're rocking yourself back and forth for a couple minutes. You're checking your seat, you're becoming present, you're visually looking at something, you're coming back into center, you're coming back into your body, and you're giving your body signals where you're telling your body it's safe, it's okay. So I would say, you know, again, get your lymph moving, look at your detoxification agents, like how are you going, how are you going to the bathroom, you know, are you moving, is everything moving? And that will give you a good indication on where you are, and if you need to maybe drink more water or get more fiber in your diet or exercise more or do a little bit more breath work, or maybe go into more self-love, more meditation, or again, like these somatic techniques. There's another butterfly technique, Sheri, that I'll send you. You can link it. It's something that was developed by a lady. She's a frontline worker. I believe she was in Mexico during a big hurricane that came through, and she developed this beautiful technique called the butterfly technique. And I've been using that. It's been amazingly beautiful. So I think that would help the viewers a lot if they are feeling, you know, again, there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of emotions that come and go. So if you are stuck, I would say definitely look into some somatic techniques, do your breath work. And again, I will send this to you. You can link it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sonya. So insightful, so helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking when you're talking about hugging yourself, well, when Sheri was talking about, she was talking about oxytocin, I said, well, you know, hug your husband or hug somebody that you're living with. And if you're not living with anybody, like what Sonya talking about, is to hug yourself. And, you know, some of the research, and I'm not sure, I don't think the research is about hugging yourself, the one I'm going to quote from, but they said if you hug somebody for 6 seconds, you'll start maximizing your production of oxytocin. So I bet you, and I don't know if there's research been done on this, but the hugging of yourself. I mean, let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's stop talking about all this stuff here. Just hug yourself. 6 seconds. I love myself. Say, everybody say, I love myself. And I love you. Oh.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Just that oxytocin. You know how I remember that with all the oxys, you know, there's some bad, and is with oxytocin, you can remember the words like, you know, twiddle your toes, you know, the toes and oxytocin, you know. But I have, you know, I have to go back to the meditation. You know, I don't know what the profile of people who watch this video, but if you're on the fence, if you've been doing meditation for years and then you stopped it, something happened, you got tired of it, or and you've been thinking about times to start it over again, or you're doing a meditation now and you're just hardly doing it, just spotty, or you've been thinking about it, you know, you've never done it before. Again, you know, it's so hard to get yourself up and do something new in a time when so many people are so depressed. But if I can help you to motivate you right now, once the video is over, take a, you know, an action of go to the internet or on your, and download an app. I've got a great app. I've got a Happco mindfulness journey. It can generate enlightenment. You know, if you're interested in becoming enlightened, especially in this dismal circumstances, you know, you can download it and, you know, try it out. So it's, again, the importance of doing the inner work. Our outer world right now is in a terrible state. It may be a great state, in quotes, of a period of transition. So that could give us hope, even in the midst of this. And to do the inner work is not running away. Quite often the critics of meditation say that, well, you're just running away from life. Well, they haven't explored the inner world and doing their inner work to see what is really going on. And the meditation gets us in touch with the spirit. And if we buy the argument that there's a higher being or higher entity that's designing this, and we're part of this, what an incredible spirit that's part of who we are. I mean, that's incredible. So just to stay stuck in this physical world, I mean, Jesus talked about, be in this world, but not of this world. And I wasn't there when he said it, and I'm not there to question him, but it's been quoted so often, it seems to be self-evident that just to be caught up into your senses, the visual senses, the sense of touch, smell, taste, is only an illusion in a way. It's a dream, because this is just part of the reality. And so to stay stuck in this outer world is only being exposed to part of who you are and what reality is all about. So expand on that. Since this one, you can't go places, you can't get out. Again, going back to, just for a moment, what Sheri was talking about, getting as much light as you can. Get by the window if you don't have a terrace or you want to go out. But it's so important to get some light. I once lived in an apartment that the sun was blocked by a larger apartment building in Manhattan. And it was years that went by to finally realized that we were experiencing in the wintertime just light deficit. And we got all depressed and we didn't know why it was. So, definitely expose yourself to the light. But again, going back to the inner work, what more can I say? I mean, that's a big part of who we are. There's a higher self that has true love and compassion, joy, peace, and unlimited wisdom. So that's a key function that we need today. How are we going to get ourselves out of this and move on and rise to a better place than where we were before? And you have a great unlimited amount of wisdom available to you by doing your inner work. So.
I love that. Thank you so much, Dr. Zach. As you were sharing also, even when you mentioned we have that infinite wisdom, I think we have infinite space within us too. Like when you close your eyes, I know at one point, sometimes I get cooped up. If I'm in the house too long, I start getting cooped up. I'm like, I got to get out of here. But when I meditate, I feel like I'm in a different place. So for that person who's feeling cooped up, it's the perfect time to just breathe, recognize where you are, and then travel in and explore that type of world. And then looking further, I think my last tip on health and wellness would probably stem, there's so many things that I do. I know I mentioned literature that's helped me. Food, you touched on so many things, Sonya, that I think were so helpful. I wrote down so many different, the mood food and whatnot. Food has really helped me. And I think last, it's about learning. For me, this is time, right? And I feel like so many people have been walking around life intoxicated with thoughts and intoxicated with their idea of what the future should look like. And now we're waking up. Some people still feel drunk and they're sitting down and they're feeling sad and they're feeling scared. But I feel like I've woken up in this moment and been like, wow, there is time now where we can learn. So even the person who thinks, I've got nothing to give, right? When we talk about acts of service, acts of kindness, doesn't matter. Everyone's got a face. Who cannot give a smile, right? Like, so I think it's getting clear on how can we give right now? And for anyone that's feeling like they've got nothing to give, because I've had these thoughts where it's like, I'm not good at anything. No one would want anything from me. When I was younger, I'd have all of these self-attacking thoughts. And for the person that might be experiencing that right now, part of wellness is this idea that you can be a beginner and it's okay to be a beginner and it's well and it's fine. And so if you have time right now and you're like, well, I don't know what to do, and you're even experiencing overwhelming emotions, think about what you want to explore. Maybe there's been something that you want to learn, but you constantly put it off and you say, well, I'll do that when. I think now is a great time to reevaluate how we're spending time and where we're investing our time. And I know how it's helped me is because now I'm no longer looking at what I'm losing. I'm no longer feeling any sense of lack in that moment because the channel has changed. The channel is now looking at time, not like, oh my God, I'm losing time, but oh my gosh, I just gained time. And now I have time to give myself back some of these things that I've put up for so long. So I think it's, for me, shifting into more of a nurturing energy. This reminds me of a nurturing, a feminine type of energy, an energy that's a bit more nurturing. So if you want to have the bath, but you're like, I don't have time to ever have a bath, now's the time to have the bath. If you're, you want to explore a new career, but you're like, I never have time, now you have time. So I think that would just be my tip, is to really own how you feel, but then know that you're not stuck there. You can learn new things. There's constantly ways to give back. There's constantly ways to activate all these juices in the mind just by putting yourself in service. So that would be my last tip. So any last words from our collective group here before I send us on our way?
I love that, Sheri. That was awesome. And I just want to add with what you were saying is that, you know what? Listen to that small, still voice that's coming in, because I've been getting these downloads and different messages to start some kind of self-initiatives, right? And so it's like, even if you feel like this project is so huge and you can't do it alone, maybe you can start a small group and everyone can pitch into that group. Today I got a memo to put in a fund to start feeding kids, just start developing a fund. So even that, and if let's say you get 5 or 10 people to contribute, here you go. Now you have a project that you can really feel proud to give back. And again, we're not doing any of this alone. We're all doing this together for a collective mission, a grander purpose than ourselves. So I love that you said that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all. Dr. Zach, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just reading this morning that Harvard University is offering 65 online classes for free. So, to that point, it's just there's so many incredible resources out there. But to have 65 courses that Harvard is offering is for free is what an opportunity to learn and expand and be creative. And move yourself into a new space. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'll put that below so people have easy access. And thank you both so much for your time. This was incredible as always.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.